As we all are aware that these leadership talk sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solution. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. IIEC aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids. It also tries to find best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It is also creating more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. So, as I shared in the beginning, that this is a 66 session, and so far we have successfully organized 65 sessions. This is just some major highlights from these sessions. We have received 6,322 registrations. 5,511 questions. We have seen participation from 5 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Nepal. And from India, we have seen participation from 19 states and 78 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions. With this, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers. Like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective, thoughts, and ideas. With this, I would request, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for the day. Our first key speaker, Anita Sharma ma'am. Anita ma'am is principal with SD Public School, Delhi. She is the recipient of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Award, which is conferred to just one educationist across the country. She is also a mathematics expert with the CBSE, NCRT, CIET, SCRT, and we all need to be ready to listen some good mathematical formulas. How we can apply this national education policy successfully. So we all are excited, Anita ma'am, to hear your formulas. She is a curriculum ideator for CBSE International. She has conducted more than 500 training programs in India and abroad for mathematics teachers. We welcome you, Anita ma'am. It's an honor to have you. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining.
Thank you, Rajul.
Welcome, ma'am. Next key speaker, Dr. Savita Arora, ma'am. Dr. Savita Arora ji is principal with Bharati Public School, Delhi. She has been felicitated with National Teacher Award by Honorable President of India. Savita ma'am has won many prizes in debates and dramatics at national level during her student life. She has also written many articles and short poems related to children and education. Savita ma'am has authored a series of books called Dew Drops on life skills for students in classes 1st to 8th. We welcome you, Savita ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, thank you. You have spoken a lot about me, so I think we would try to put in our experience of life. Anita ma'am has shared the same platform earlier. Also, we shared it
That's a great
before.
combination. We have at
Yeah,
one side we have a
yeah, this
mathematics.
is
We have at
really.
one side we have mathematics experts.
I love this.
At
I
one
love
side we have mathematics experts. Second side we have wonderful art
this.
education of poetess. So this is a great combination. So thank you, Dr. Pankaj Sharma has also joined us. Welcome, Pankaj sir. Our next key speaker, Kishan Kumarji, he is a principal with Siddharth Public School, Delhi. He is a distinguished academician with decades of experience. He has been recognized and awarded for his contribution to the field of education many times. Welcome, Kishan Kumarji. Our next key speaker, Dr. Pankaj Sharma. Pankaj Sharma ji is director with SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Sharma has over 22 years of varied experience in sales and marketing in the media, education, FMCG, and IT sectors. Uh, he has completed his graduation in electronics honors from Delhi University and received a gold medal in his PGDBM. His research topic in his PhD was consumer behavior. He has completed a one-year diploma from IIM Lucknow in senior management program global leadership. Dr. Sharma has won many awards and recognitions during his corporate journey. He has served in senior level positions in many organizations like NIT University, PML Munjal University, the Tribune Trust, Dainik Bhaskar Group, Midday, Indian Express, and ST Media Limited. We welcome you, Pankaj sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Ms. Gulia Manji. Vidushi ji is country head with the LearnTech Solutions. She is passionate about English literature and has authored the teacher manual on phonics. She has revised 7 level books, Fun with Phonics and Spelling, for HarperCollins. She has trained over 10,000 teachers in India and pedagogical tools. She has, LearnTech Solutions. LearnTech Solutions offers educators and administrators a new set of blending learning tools for a modern and sophisticated learning environment. So we welcome you, Vidushi ji. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Raju.
With this, we formally begin the session. I would request our key speakers if we can have their opening remark. So I would request Anita ma'am if we can begin with you, your opening remark. You are on mute, ma'am. Anita ma'am, you are on mute.
I will start with a quote of Nelson Mandela, and he said, "It is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to a good education." And why I have quoted this? Because our new education policy intends quality education for all, and I will be talking more about it afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would request Savita ma'am, your opening remark.
For me, I think being a literary person, I can just open up with this, that simply, if we want to spell what education is, so education is simply the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to another. Education levels the playing field, allowing everyone to compete. And NEP 2020 is a milestone in India's journey to becoming a knowledge superpower. And we would like to wait and see what is going to happen in 2040. It is a sea change which NEP is going to show us. And let's welcome it.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Now I would request Dr. Pankaj Sharma ji. Pankaj sir, your opening remark.
Yeah, good evening to all of you. I think this is today is the second session I am attending. First of all, Rajul, a great compliment to you for arranging such kind of a session where we can have open reviews and views. Because one important thing is this policy took around 30 plus years to draft or to come out the draft, but it is important that how we are going to implement that. That was most of the time we discussed always the one thing is draft is there, but the implementation part. So in last session also, we have discussed the implementation part, the challenges, and obviously we have to work as a team. We are not from the school system, but obviously I'm from the higher education where the students are coming. I can say we are the customers for schools because the students are coming and joining higher education. And this policy is really great. So let's see how we can implement it as early as possible with limited resources, and we have to come out from our comfort zone. Then only we can implement that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And today's special becomes very special. The kind of the presence of the speakers we have. We have one side two eminent school leaders. We have at the other side higher education leader, and at the other side we have Vidushi Guliaji, who is an educator but sees education from a different perspective. So Vidushi ji, over to you, your opening remark.
Well, first of all, thank you. I feel great sharing this platform with strong, experienced people like the ones that we have here. So, my namaste to everybody. When I speak about NEP, I have obviously experienced it from the other end as a student who has. I passed out with my grade 12 in 2002, and I've had the good fortune to study in some of the best institutions of the country. And I've seen the other end of it. And I have, while this was being formed and the draft area itself was a very, very long process, the draft sounds good. Now the NEP has come, of course, and that sounds good too. But essentially, to bring about any change, not only do we need will, I mean, it's very easy to say that we have the will to do it, but we also need more than the will and the intent. We need the ability to change. How many of us are able to change with the requirement? How many of it's easy to learn, but it's tough to unlearn and then learn something. And I think that is where the role of school leaders comes into play even more, when they guide their teachers, their mentees, and their tutelage to be able to be strong enough, to be resilient enough, and be creative enough to bring this up in the way that it's intended to be. I think I would want to put in my words in that direction. I would also, maybe take some time to show you what we can offer. And I just give a bit of a background. I don't want to speak so much, but I mean, I am a daughter of an ambitious parent. So what I know for sure is that if there is an ambition, things can be done. And with this NEP, personally, I, as a daughter, as a mother, as a parent, as a teacher, and as an educator, I see ambition. And to bring about that ambition in real life, I think that's the crux of it. If we do that, then we can stop brain drain. Then we can really be the superpower which we want to call ourselves.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Vidushi ji. We'll come back to you for your main talk. Now, with this, we enter into the second part of this session, which is the main talk session. Now, I would request Anita ji, Anita ma'am, if we can begin with you. You have been very vocal about, the inclusion and, equitable rights for, every kid in a country. So how do you see, NEP from that perspective? And what are your suggestions and roadmap? Anita ma'am, over to you.
Thank you. Vidushi ji has just now said that if we have strong ambition, then nobody can stop us achieving the goals. So I must say that this policy is very, very ambitious because it envisages the dream of universalizing the education for all by 2030. And this is in um, perfect resonance with the SDG goal number 4. So I would like to speak today about those children who are either not able to reach to the school, or who get the entry in the school, who needs to, the parents need to make lots of efforts, or even if they reach to the school, sometimes due to lack of awareness and intention, they are not able to receive that much which they should be able to. So I am talking about the 6 million children who are out of school right now. I will be addressing the issues in our country. We have, there is a data which I am sharing with you, that at least 29% of the girls, they drop out. First thing, only 50% of the girls, they reach to the school. And out of that, 29% they drop out of the school before they complete their elementary education. Then there is a class, transgender. So 53% of the children, they reach to the school. But if you see the data, how many of them appeared in the CBSE examinations in the previous year itself, I will be talking, then only 12 students in the class 10th and 6 students in the class 12th. Okay. Then there are children who are belonging to the socially disadvantaged group. Either they belong to the SC, ST, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, or the tribal classes. Then these children, they are also have this kind of problem, and almost I have come to know that their data is also very big. So approximately 60% and above, they are not able to get admissions in the school at the right time and at the right age. Then disabled children, any kind of disability, whether that is visible disability or the invisible disability, 75% of the children, they do not reach to the school. You would be surprised to know that for this year, the Delhi government, whatever number they allotted for the seats of the disabled children in the school, hardly 15% seats are filled up. So almost all the seats are lying vacant. And the reason for this year may be the lockdown. I can also apprehend this, that this may be one of the reasons. But the another important reason is that if any person is belonging to the socio-economic and culturally disadvantaged group, then, and if they have a disabled children in the home, then they don't want to invest on the education of these kids. They don't know about the policies which are there for their benefits. So they are either due to the lack of education or due to the lack of awareness and the lack of intention, because they feel that even if they will be sending these children to the school, then it is no point of sending them, because these children, they will not be able to support the family in the future. So this kind of mindset is there. So anyway, now we have to see that how to achieve this kind of big target when we are envisaging of achieving 100% universalization of the 100% students they shall reach to the school by 2030. For this, I admire the policy for two things, because for the first time, they have used two words together in the policy. One is the inclusion, and another is the equitable. So earlier, the inclusion word was used by the RPWD Act only, and there the inclusion means that the children with a disability should be able to study with the children with the those who are not having the disabilities. But now this inclusion word is extended in this education policy, and they have included everybody. That means it says that no discrimination, irrespective of the gender, the caste, the religion, the region. That means they have also taken into consideration the geographical locations. There are certain geographical locations where the accessibility of the school is not easy, lots of forest, dense forests are there. So it is not safe to reach to the schools, because for reaching to the school, the child has to walk for several kilometers. So even those kind of areas are also taken into the consideration. Then transgender, this term is being used for the first time in the education policy. Then the child victims, any child who is victim of the sexual abuse or the violence or the trafficking, or they are the children of the migrant laborers, or they are the children who suffered because of some natural disaster. So every type of child is included here in the policy, and the government's intention is to serve each and every child wholeheartedly. And for that, many special provisions are made in this policy this time, which I think everybody must be aware of, and we shall also try to see how we can contribute in this. So the first thing is that there is a provision for the special fund, which is known as the gender inclusion fund or the inclusion fund. So this gender inclusion fund is not only for the female child, it will also be serving the transgender children. Then this inclusion fund, this is also introduced with the purpose of providing the basic facilities to the children, whether it is the hygiene facilities of the hygiene or the toilets, or even providing the bicycles or any other vehicle for the safe commuting of the children to the school. So all sorts of or even the special scholarships are also included in this. Another interesting thing is that the government has identified that since there are certain geographical locations where the facilities are not up to the mark, or where the maximum children who are belonging to any of these categories are there. So as per the need, they will be declaring those zones as the special education zones, SEZs. And for these special education zones, special policies will be made, special funds will be allocated, so that every facility of the quality education can be given to the children up to the maximum. Then another interesting thing about this policy is, because I said in the beginning that I will be addressing all those students who are out of school. So to bring back all their children to the formal system of education, special provisions of special type of schoolings are also made. So the policy also talks about the alternative schooling. So this may be in the form of homeschooling, this may be in the form of the open school, this may be the blended form. It says if the school is, if the child is not able to reach to the school, then school shall make an effort to reach to the every child. If a child is, say, suffering from the severe disability, and the child is not able to reach to the school, or is not comfortable to spend long hours in the school, then a system can be developed by the school, where some time can be allocated for the child to be in the school, and certain provision can be made where the child can be helped in the home. So the home support can also be given. uh, a third most important thing is that uh, a very this is very important, that the training of the teachers and the administrators uh, for the children who are with the children with special needs. This means, earlier, you must have observed that every school is having one special educator, and he is taking care of all the children with the special need in the school, which is not very practical thing, because the teacher faces, the special educator has to face many problems, and he cannot be um, he cannot fulfill all the needs of the child, because he cannot help the child in learning every subject. So now the policy says that every teacher should be trained to deal with the problems of the children with special need. If you are a math teacher, then you must know that if in your class a child with the autism or the ADHD is sitting, how to help the child. If you are, if some visually impaired child is sitting in the class, you must know how to handle his problems. So if for all types of students the provisions are made, and the provision of providing the braille books, the provision of using the sign language, this is again a very drastic step which has been taken by the government, that the sign language will be standardized, and the provision will be made to teach the children using the sign language wherever it is required. So very, very special provisions are made in the policy to cater all the students. And nowhere the policy is saying that the children will not be assessed, they will be assessed. And the special provision for the assessment, the individualized assessment may be there, or some kind of special um, um, provisions can be made, and this will be done with the help of the parak, who is taking who is going to conduct the assessment on the lines of the national achievement survey in the schools. So I think I have already talked a lot. So let us now listen to the other speakers, and then we can take the questions in the end.
Thank you, Anita ma'am. You rightly talked about that inclusion and equity, equitable. These are the two words which have been, mentioned in policy, and these are very, I would say, the disturbing, facts you share, that just 15% seats for disabled, students in Delhi schools can be filled. If it's happening in the capital of a country, we can imagine what's happening in far-flung areas. In fact, in the last session, we also read, a survey that just 56% schools of a country have access to electricity. And states like Bihar, they don't have just 9.5% schools have access to electricity. So these are the poor status which are very disturbing facts related to our country. So with this, thank you, Anita ma'am. We'll come back to you with questions. Now I would request Savita ma'am, Principal Bharati Public School. Savita ma'am, your ideas, your thoughts. How do you see this policy?
I think ma'am has taken one of the topic, but she has set the platform. She has spoken a lot about NEP, and yes, this well thought and forward looking document will be an important milestone in India's journey towards becoming a global knowledge. I think the return of Ministry of Human Resource Development to its earlier name, Ministry of Education, has provided a more focused and fresh perspective to the education ecosystem. And I know that here the one of the trainer is also sharing the platform, so she is worried about the new education system and the execution of that ecosystem. How will it come up? And she is very intelligent enough to put this, to shoulder this responsibility to the leaders, that they have to train their teachers. You are very right, dear. It becomes the responsibility of the leader to understand the policy first, because it is having a lot of changes. And I think extreme sea change is going to happen in a few more decades. But I want to know this thing, that until and unless we would know the difference between the training and the education, educating someone or training someone, we should not talk anything about new policy. Until and unless each one of us, all learners, teachers, leaders, they must understand first that they always feel that they are trained to teach so they can teach, which is a myth. I think they have to understand they should educate themselves first. They must know the difference between the training and education. As in the movie Three Idiot, it is very rightly said that if you train a lion, if you beat him and tell him to sit on the chair, he will also sit. So that kind of focus which was being given in the traditional system of education, training, just write what I'm doing, just copy it, do it, and bring the homework and do it. So these kinds of things are, they have to be vanished. So if they are going, that's what she used the word unlearn. It's okay. You are learning something new, it's fine. But you have to break through those traditional things which have a barefoot in your mind, and you are not going to, you're stern to understand that what is this? Why are they asking us to put art education into it? What is it? So they will not understand until and unless they believe that they have to educate themselves. They are not being trained, but they have to educate that what the policy is. And I hope that these kinds of webinars, seminars, 2020 has given them ample of time to churn out the butter out of it and find out how this can be a wonderful system for us. So this ecosystem has to be changed. But as it is a proven fact that the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And the secret of getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming task into small, manageable tasks. And 2020 has given us a lot of time to think over and to do. And moreover, CBSE is also putting an umbrella over it and asking us to give us the art education, art integration, and all other things. This is something good happening. And it's a time of being educating ourselves. And teachers are very well managing the task, and they have, and then we have to start on the first one. So we should always think about the positivity of it. We should be looking into that, what are the expected outcomes of this NEP. I think ma'am has touched out the portions, but if I feel that I have to sum up everything, and then in just a roller coaster ride, if you read out the expected outcomes, one is this, that universalization of access from ECCE to secondary level, which has been coming. Secondly, ensuring equity and inclusion. Ma'am has already explained it very well. that each one should teach one was the method we were using it out, and we were very happy that we have literated all. But it is not the fact. There were hidden people, hidden group of people who were not been into the education line. So their ma'am has already explained it very well. And then bringing back 2 crores out of school children also has been touched by ma'am. And then attain SDG goals of retaining all children in schools until completion of secondary education. This is a fact why they are not coming. I must say that for this, I'm quoting out a different, my way of explaining is little different. I don't use the scientific terms, I use the experiential learning terms. So if we have seen the movie Hitchkey, we could find it out that how that teacher has established her favoritism in the students. And I could not recall, I could not forget that thing when she has arranged a PTM and students' parents were not there. So what kind of attachment she showed towards it? She went to the homes and find out the reason behind it. So that reason has given her the chance to rework on them and find out where the problem is. And she has proved that when she has counseled the parents and she has bring back the children in the classes with that mind of with that environment of learning, because poor children and many children whom have to drop out in between, they are not likely to complete their secondary education even. The reason has to be found, and that is not that we are not doing, but still new NEP has shown us again a mirror to look into ourselves and find out it's the fault of ours also sometimes, it's the fault of the system also sometimes. So who is going to do it? Actually speaking, we are the corona, I mean, we are the warriors. Teachers are the warriors. Doctors have done their job. Their job is to save life. They have done it. What extra they have done? Look at the poor teachers, those who have been the epitome of God, and they have within 24 hours transformation has been done. So I first of all give a big kudos to all the teachers fraternity, those who have worked out 24/7, and that emotion connect, which we are maintaining online also, is to be acknowledged by all of us and rather appreciated, because teachers are teaching, and altogether without any other aid, they have to have themselves, they have to become an aid and prove that they can reach them. They have reached their homes. Everything has been done. So 2020 has taught us that the problem is not this, that they are not coming to school. It's okay, we can mark them absent. Now 2020 has taught us that we are reaching their homes, finding out their difficulties. In the evening, teachers are solving the emotional problems, and 101 things are going on. And I'm pretty sure that teachers would love to have online PTMs now, because 101 catchy things are coming up, and the same Hitchkey movie has come, which I really wanted, that teachers must know the condition of the child at home also, what is the environment, and how this has not been easy for all of us, because we didn't have time to describe them the counseling 101 done and all such things. So now maybe 10 students in 2-3 days, they can cover up all 40 children, and they are more happy. Even parents have also appreciated that you can give me the time 7 to 8 because I'm at home at that time. I love this. So they have given us appreciation. This motivation has prepared us, and now we are ever ready to work for them. So this thing has been educated by all of us that we can do wonders, and we will do it. And then next is the improve quality of achievement of learning outcomes. Learning outcomes we have been doing from, I think, and number of ages we are doing, what are objectives, what are specific aims and learning outcomes. But the foundation literacy and numeracy, FLN, these things have been added. I think day by day, when teachers will learn out and read out actually the NEP, they'll come to know the basic things of basic meaning of learning outcome. They are trying it on themselves in 2020, and then they'll be replicate everything in the class of 40. So there's nothing very difficult in it. It has to be embraced with open arms and rather positively appreciated. And focus on 21st century skill in teaching, learning, assessment is always there. There is nothing new but the execution of those skills. So skills cannot be executed if teacher herself is not having all those skills. So teacher has to prove that she is ready now. She is ready with all the skills. She knows that if I have 10 chapters or 12 chapters in my syllabus, I have to have the 12 different methods to teach them. Then only the teacher will become the favorite one. So I think teachers are trying, because in online also you can see there is nothing else to do, but they are trying to find out new methods and they are doing it. So they are again preparing to improve their 21st century skills in teaching, learning, and assessment too. Assessment, which is the biggest difficulty in online, but we have crossed over that also. We have tried to make our children in competing themselves, because if we take videos and tell them to write the paper and we are watching you, we are watching you, children are very smart. They know what to do and they will do if they want to do, but we have to educate them that whatever you are doing it for yourself. So be sure that it is you who can catch hold of your dreams, no one else. We can only help you out. So they have proved it. The pre-board, the way we are going to do pre-boards, I think we have won the race in this way. And many people have tried different ways and everybody is trying to do the best, but still children are smarter enough. So I just tried this only, that, and it is not because of the new NEP. From the last 2-3 years we are having target setting role in our schools, and all the children set their own target, because I don't want to compare with anyone else. They have to compare, they have to compete themselves. If they have set the target 50%, achieved it, certificate is given. Only in setting their target and achieving it, whatever the target they are setting. So this motivates them, because next time they are not going to set the target 49. Their target will be 51 or 55. So let it be. Let them come up with their own spirits, their own pace. So the pre-board is also helping them out, because only fear is this, that board exams are going to happen in the same way. So they have to prepare them. If they want to come up, they'll come up. If they don't, they are the sufferers. So it is called education. All the time I'm telling you the difference of training and educating. So if we are educating the children, I think we are telling them. I tried my best, and my team is also trying best to educate children about that by saying it, a mask is better than ventilator, and home is better than ICU. Precaution is better than cure. And what is curfew? Curfew is nothing but care for you. So everybody has to mind himself or herself that if I'm caring myself, I'm caring, I'm contributing towards the society. And every time if you tell them you have to wear a mask, you have to have the social distancing, you cannot train them in this way. They will do, they are kids, they will do whatever they want to do. So prepare them first, educate them, and try to give them everything in a way. So this is pedagogy. This is only the way to tell how we are telling. If we are telling it, they'll keep it in their heart. Yes, it's better. Oh, I don't want to go to the ventilator. Mask is better. So this is something which is being given to them to make them aware that this is the repercussion of it if you don't do. So they will understand. So this is NEP is training. NEP is telling us to do each lesson in this way. And as far as the effective governance has been there, I mean, separation of powers and common norms is always there. And we are overcoming the language barriers also, which is good enough, because basically children have to be educated. So if they are being given the environment in their own ways, they learn better ways. So that's good. And they are trying to reach the level of English medium day by day. Government schools have proven it, that till 6th they don't teach, but in 6th when they start and they compete with public schools. So it is a proven fact. So nothing is going to wrong with it. It only depends the way we are carrying forward. Even now also translation is going on, but still we feel that we have to become a global person. You will be there. Actually, competency is important. So understanding is important. Always we have to feel that if we are able to make the child understand, it's okay, whatever the language is. Okay, so this is also fine. And common standards for public and private school education, this is again the expectation which has been there at the back, and I think it is going to overcome. So the biggest shift in education is shifting from teaching kids what to learn to teaching them how to learn. So this is my basic say, that if we are understanding the new NEP, we have to understand all the pedagogies, innovative pedagogies. Transforming teaching learning process is the key area in this policy. So I think she's going to speak more about it. I'm not touching it more, but I'm telling that whatever innovative pedagogies are improved, I think let me quickly lay a platter for you in this. Experiential learning is there, focus on experiential inquiry and discovery based teaching learning methods, and integrated pedagogies, art, sports, integration of 2 3 subjects. It's not only integrating art into it or music into it, but it can be integrated. Math, science, English can be integrated. And as science and social science has integrated and it has become EVS, for class 5 till class 5 we used to call it as environmental studies. So in the same way, subjects have the integration, and that has to understood by the teachers first. If they will not understand, they will not able to do anything in their that capacity which is being expected, which trainers are expecting that they should have. But teachers training is again important. They should not feel that they are B.Ed, they are M.Ed, done. No. New NEP has a special kind of education system, special kind of training system, which they have to have undergoing after reading out the things. ICT is there now. 2020 has shown that without ICT, nothing will be done. So these kinds of things, the teachers, those who are not computer savvy, those who are not tech savvy, they have to learn. There's no choice left with them. So promoting of peer tutoring is also important, because we have done it in this 2020. We have learned peer tutoring also. We have given a charge to the group leader, and group is managed by one, and then the project is coming. This is what NEP says, and this is what we have done it. So it's again becoming so easy and lucrative for us to carry on with this. And equal weightage, no hard separation in extracurricular area and co-curricular area. Each kind of activity, each kind of talent is being taken into consideration. And the most important thing is bagless days, which is very much required. And I think I love this point, because I have been doing it from the last 2 years. From the last 2 years, we are doing this in our school, and it is called as LBB, Learning Beyond Books. So that was done with a purpose that children will come without bags and they will learn without books. And believe me, that was the day when we always have full attendance. Look at it. So this shows that bagless days, which is very important in new NEP, maybe some are not understanding it, but understand it and let them have at least one day, once in a week or once in a fortnight, whatever you can carry on, but one day which they want to learn. The way which they want to learn is very important, because child always wait and see when teacher will teach me the way I want. And that is also not one. 40 are waiting, 40 odd minds are waiting. My way can be different, your way can be different. So teacher has to be extraordinarily smart. And bagless day is again icing on the cake of new NEP, I would say. And I think rest, I have spoken a lot of things. Most of the things have been covered. I love new NEP, and I would always wait with open arms to establish it in the schools. It's nothing new. It's all same. And it is the expectation of many of us. Many of good leaders are waiting for this policy to come up, and we will embrace them. The need is to create a large pool of educated teachers, not trained, rather educated teachers. And let's see how policy can help us out, how people who, those who have been thinking to train out the teachers in a different way, they can do magic, and they will be doing, because teachers need to know the policy when they are shown in a way that, okay, 360-degree kind of assessment of teacher is also important, whether she is coming up with the proper things or not. Actually speaking, better training of educators is to teach, is to learn twice. What you have
Right.
already learned,
True.
it has to be learned, and the whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows.
Right.
That's, I think I should stop here because you have to snatch the mic. Otherwise,
Right.
we will
Right.
carry
Right.
on with the
Thank you.
experiences.
Thank you, Savita ma'am,
Thank you for
for
being me.
sharing your, real ideas in such a great detail and with such a passion. And you rightly said that, secret of getting ahead is, getting started. We have to start, and you also rightly talked about, the learning outcomes, which I'm sure with the successful implementation of national education policy would improve, and we would achieve the right path. We are with you when we have to laud our teachers. And just one thing I would like to share with all of you, that on behalf of India International Education Council, we are writing to the Government of India and Ministry of Education that uh, this year's Bharat Ratna must be given to teachers, to entire teaching community, along with the medical people and the police. These
They
three
will do. I
people.
think something will be done. They are waiting for the completion of the session, I hope. But
Right. So
that,
we hope that yeah, so they
yes.
deserve that. So with this, we big thanks. We'll come back to you, ma'am, with questions. Now we have another expert in authority, from the higher education, Dr. Pankaj Sharma ji. Pankaj sir, I would welcome you, and I would request if we can have your ideas and suggestions, Pankaj sir.
Yeah, thank you, Rajul. I think the kind of discussion we are going to have today interesting. I would like to visit Ma'am Sabita's school if allowed. I
Sure,
think
sir.
the way you have described,
You're welcome, sir.
really, I like the word learning beyond books, really, because we have never experienced that when I was in school. That's really a great experience. I wish students are enjoying that. So I
Thank you.
think this year is quite interesting and very challenging. I am a parent also. My both kids, they are going to give the board exam next year, 12th and 10th. So somehow things are not very easy. But I really salute all the teachers, the way they are teaching, because I am also teach sometime. I used to take classes for management MBA students. It's not easy. It's not easy really when you're teaching online. Assessment part, attention part, lot of things. So as really appreciate that. I keep doing that whenever I meet any teacher. I always say, "Your this year you have done a wonderful job," and I hope this opportunity will not come in future. We have school offline mode, though nobody wants to do it online continue. But I think the talking about the national education policy, it's really good. The change is always good in life. We accept it or not, but the way I just want to address few points considering the education. Whenever any student is coming to the university, especially I was with NIT University, then BML Munjal, then I'm in SRM University, Sonipat. They don't ask questions in the classrooms. I don't know whether the same experience is with the school principals, school teachers. We have to really motivate them. Please do ask questions. I don't know. The reason is, you won't believe, our first initial months spent in the same in just motivating them. Just do ask questions. Do ask questions. This is something very surprising. Second point, whenever I visit schools, I always ask one question: that what you want to become in your life, to all the students. And surprisingly, I visited schools in Delhi, outside also. 60% students are not clear that what they want to be. I feel that this education policy, considering the vocational part, intervention of somehow indirectly or directly corporate, that what you are going to do when you are the part of the corporate. Though I understand there is a bridge of higher education between the corporate and the school, but this is a very good idea implementing this vocational kind of a thing, as ma'am correctly said, learning beyond books. We have to be practical. I have seen students, they are not very strong as far as theory part is concerned, but they enjoy their labs. I think this vocational training is kind of a upgradation of these labs. Second is, in higher education system now, as a student you have a choice. If you want to continue for 3 years education, 4 years, you will be given a certificate, diploma, or a degree, which was not there. It was like a college dropout kind of a thing. Now you have a choice that, okay, you want to go for a 1 year course, you will be given a certificate, then you can have a break, go for practical knowledge, and they can again come back and you can continue your studies. This is really good. Third part about the education policy as far as implementation is concerned, I believe you have to have lot of handholding from various schools. I think we have to work as a team. I've been to many schools, they are self-competent enough, they are self-dependent enough, they can implement this policy. But there are some schools, they really need a lot of it. I just take the example of Tagore International School, where I'm the part of the management also there. What they have done almost 2 3 years back, they invited the parents and they want to introduce the concept of internship, especially in the classes 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And just a 2 weeks concept where students are going and they are meeting the professionals like lawyers, doctors, engineers, many more, so that they have the right kind of exposure that what is the job if they want to become a editor or they want to become a lawyer. It is important to experience that before you really start that journey. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So that kind of initiative, this education policy, I think every school can implement that. Second part is training of teachers. I believe, as ma'am correctly said, the when I remember when I was in Hindustan Times, we used to have a session, you won't believe, from NIIT computers days, of MS Word, MS Excel. When I was with ST, if I share this with my kids, they will laugh. Papa, you were not aware about this MS Word, MS Excel when you started your job. Now things are moving very fast. It is important to understand, we as a teacher, that this generation of student is a tough. They are very tough. They know more from, but obviously teacher is a teacher, guru is a guru, but their patience level is very low. Their understanding is quite high and their awareness of information is very high. I just give my example. Whenever I use mobile or laptop, if my son is there, I always have one feature more. I said this ये feature भी है इसके अंदर. I was not aware. So that kind of exchange of ideas is going to happen, and we have to do it, because sharing of ideas from the student. Because I remember one of the class where teacher was facing some issue and some of the student resolved that issue. It was a technical kind of a thing. The same thing, education policy, we have to really work as a team. We don't have to see the competition in that. Maybe higher education, maybe the corporate, maybe the school. We have to work as a team, and definitely this education policy can be implemented. But before implementation, there are two things. One is to understand this policy in detail. And second is how we are going to implement that. I just take one word which we have also used in the last session, KKH. It's a very interesting word. KKH means करना क्या है, किसने करना है, कब करना है, किसको करना है. If we can identify, if we can implement this KKH word in the implementation of any policy, I think then we are able to implement all these whatever future policies we are going to implement. And wherever help of higher education system, believe me, there are a lot of good universities. They are creating a very good bridge. They are creating a bridge between the school and the higher education system. Because as an SRM university, we always invite students, come and experience the higher education system. You can stay in the hostel. that gives lot of exposure, that gives lot of motivation, that builds a lot of confidence among students. With this, I just want to, I'm not a very good speaker. I just want to stay, I was here only just to say, Rajul, I think I just want to give you one more time compliment. The kind of a speakers you have in today's session, really good. Anita ma'am also spoke about a lot of things. Savita ma'am, and ma'am, Savita ma'am, I will request you, I will take your number from Rajul. I will definitely come to your school because I really like the way you have spoken today. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, Pankaj sir. For emphasizing the need, for a more proactive collaboration between the academia and industry. So big thanks, and we'll come back to you with questions. Now I would request Vidushi ji. Vidushi ji, how do you see this national education policy, and what are your ideas, Vidushi ji?
Thank you, Rajul. So I have to first of all thank you to all the speakers. You've brought on a lot of points, important points. Inclusion. I'm very happy to hear the word transgender. One of my favorite books is called Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, which looks into the concept of what life of a transgender is. Now, for me, I look at it from maybe a different perspective, an out of school perspective, wherein I am not, I've been a teacher as well. I've taught grade one, then I taught grade three, four, and five as well. So I speak from that perspective as well. I also speak from the perspective of a person who is working in a corporate atmosphere, and I'll also speak from the perspective of a parent. I'm a mother of two. My son is 11, my daughter is 8. Like Pankaj sir was saying, my son says, Mama, how can you be so dumb? How can you not know this? How can you? What is? I said, they were watching something the other day. I said, what is this you're watching? They're called vlogs. Till that time, you will not believe I only knew vlogs. No, I do not know vlogs. So there is a lot to learn from the children. But of course, discourse has to come from top. And from that, right from top, from school leadership, educators, like this one has fallen from the government has built this policy with academicians, practitioners, thought leaders, philosophers, and also I see a lot of focus on vernacular Sanskrit, going back to our roots. I'm very happy to see all of that being noted. I also would like to bring in some alternate points of views in terms of, when they talk about 21st century skills. We are already in the 21st century. In fact, we are in the winter of the first quarter of the 21st century. I think it needs a new name now. I think it needs a new name wherein we are ready uh, with whatever it is that takes to make a person successful. Now, what is success? Is it monetary success? For sure. Is it also a psychological success? We have seen this, that children who are very, very successful in their school days, we hear a lot of suicides when they go to their IITs and IIMs, and they flunk one exam and they're committing suicides. They got 0.1% less, they're committing suicide. What are we doing to prevent that? What kind of mindset are we promoting right from the beginning? I'll give a few examples of what can be done there. I would also like to talk about the accelerated nature of change. Change starts like this, but rapidly it takes on a very steep curve. In fact, these days, the inclusion of technology, the need for blended platforms. Ms. Savita was talking about a bagless concept and the highest attendance on that day because children and teachers, myself included, we almost always associate books as in a physical book with study, and the day we know we are going to be bagless is the most enjoyable day in the classroom. In one of the schools that I worked in, we also had a bagless concept, and I could just see the joy on my students. Now, can studies be without bags? Do we need a mixture, a balance? balance is sometimes it sounds like a very lofty word. Sometimes it sounds like a word which is very good to say in a forum like this. And yet, I think that is the aspirational state of every educator, every because this policy is not going to just touch educators. This policy is not going to just touch students. It is going to touch generations to come. And a policy as big as this, as deeply thought about as this one, we are very likely not to see any new policy until next, say, 50 years. So we need to, and I, we all need to play our parts in it. How do we play that part? There is this famous lady called Rita Pearson in education. She died a couple of years earlier, but she said this very strong statement, which was every kid needs a champion. And do we have this belief in our children from the educators that you are a champion? She taught in one of the lowest income category of her district, and she just overhauled the system by just saying this one word, that I am your champion. I am going to support you with whatever it. Savita ma'am said in the movie Hichki, Rani Mukherjee went to the houses of all these kids and, you know, saw their family atmosphere. And I think thankfully I think COVID brought on a lot of challenges, but I think it also brought a lot of silver linings. One was that we realized the things that we just assumed that children would have, they did not have. We just assumed whatever homework we gave, we just assumed that children had the resources to do those homeworks. But I mean, myself, in my own house, we had to buy 3 new machines so that my husband and I and my 2 children can work. So, and I think I'll go into details of whatever I said, but I think the success of NEP would be in this one line for me: when parents will not judge a school by the school, when the parent will say, my nearest school is the best school, I think that will be the success of the application, implementation of this NEP, be it a government school, be it an Anganwadi school, be it a school run by a major conglomerate. I think when a parent says that I don't need to go there because the one right next to me is the best, or is doing whatever it is required to be done, I think that would be the success of NEP. We all have our favorites and our minds are designed to go towards biases. So I have my favorites in language. And I want to talk about something that NEP has also talked about, which is foundational literacy. First of all, what is foundational literacy? They've talked about foundational literacy and foundational numeracy in great detail. Mostly, which I've seen as a teacher trainer, as a teacher also, we have a fixed syllabus, which is that I'm going to teach ABCD in nursery, I'm going to teach cat, mat, bat in KG, and I'm going to start with very, very heavy textbooks, which maybe will start with my family and parts of my body. And the questions at the end of those chapters are, what do you see with? So you see with your eyes. What do you smell? What are your 5 smell senses? But where is the critical thinking skill there? I think one of the goals of NEPs is to let a child think independently when everything is not fed by the educator. More often than not, currently it is happening. I mean, real ground level, my nephew is in grade 10. All the important questions have been marked for him. कि ये वाले कर लेना, ये तो हो जाएगा, तो you will get these many marks. So he knows, he tells me, Mommy, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to get it. When that stops, that will be the success of NEP. When children stop mugging up answers. I remember I mugged up so many answers because I was poor in so very many subjects. If my children do not do that, that will be the success of NEP. When my children, there is this term called brain plasticity. Brain plasticity means that the brain is elastic, and it's scientifically proven. I've learned so many new things today, so the neurons in my brain are firing. Whenever we learn something, the neurons in the brain fire up. When we hear old information, they don't fire up. Basically, the brain grows whenever there is new information. And how does that brain grow? When we, not only what we hear by educators around us, by people who we are going to learn from, but also by what I find out myself, what I know, and what I still want to know. It is when we develop this, it is actually great that children today are questioning why. This, I love the word why, and I love the word how, instead of just the word what. Generally, I remember I went to study in a boarding school in grade 3. It is in Pilani. And my first question of grade 3 was, where did the early man live? So it was the early man lived in the cave. Why did the early man live in the cave and not in the farm? I don't know. I mean, I learned it very many years later, maybe because of the climate conditions. Maybe I need proper shelter to prepare myself from severe weather conditions. When we teach these days, I'm happy to note, just even before the NEP, schools were giving their children the HOTS questions, higher order thinking skills. There was a lot of, but these HOTS, but at least with my kids, they were mostly, I was supporting them. They never really, my children at least never went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to research this, I'm going to find this out. Just because the school system is designed in such a way. As a teacher, I need to know that my child can give me a different answer, something which I was not expecting to know, and it is okay to mark it correct. And as school management, we need to promote that. We need, as long as the child is able to support their answer in a coherent manner, which is research backed, then I think it'll be real success. Another thing is, I'll share an anecdote. Maybe you'll find it funny. So I was fortunate enough to study in a good university in the UK for my master's. And I was very academic. So I knew I was going to get a good score. And I failed my exam. And I was shocked. Like, you have no idea how shocked I was. I was crying. How come I failed? All my answers are correct. And my professor, a really old lady, and she said, Vidushi, you have put all the correct answers, but you've not referred to one person who gave you these answers. And the word was given to me. Then the word I learned for the first time in my life called plagiarism, academic integrity. She said, if you don't refer this law to this person, that means you have created this law. Have you? And I hadn't. And this academic integrity needs to be steeped in our children right from the beginning. Too many great ideas are made our own because we don't know where they came from. I think it is time now to to tell each other, I do not know this, but when I know this, I will give the credit to the right person, because this also develops empathy. This also develops respect for the other person. I think, what is the purpose of education? The purpose of education is to bring up a person who is aware, who is cosmopolitan, a citizen of the world. And how do you become a citizen of your world? Do you become a citizen of the world by knowing everything in your room and solving question papers? And I am all for good marks, and I mean, I myself, I got good marks. But I think you become a person of the world when you're able to take the day-to-day rigmarole of life in your stride, when you know how to deal with failure. And how do you deal with failure? By knowing the stories of failures. I think instead of just having the award for the first, second, third child in the school, we should also have an award for the most improved. We should also have an award for somebody who was not attending school but now is attending school. I think we should also have an award with somebody who wrote their thought process. So maybe award for the most original thinker. I think these values which are long forgotten in our country need to be brought into. And when the NEP talks about critical thinking, children don't know. When we give these rules, these big words to children, they don't know what is critical thinking. But critical thinking can be imbibed by our actions. I mean, when I'm a teacher, and trust me, my children, they refuse to study from me because they say my teacher knows the best. And because, and when they hear something from the teacher, it just makes so much more sense to them. This brings me to my Rajul. You can stop me anywhere, okay? Because I can go on and on and on. My husband says this all the time. You never stop. You are relentless. So you
So
can
I,
tell
I,
me
would-
when
I
to
would, I
stop.
would, I would suggest please take one more minute and just to conclude your thoughts.
Sure. Noted. I want to bring about just talk about this very favorite study of mine. It is by Carol Dweck. It talks about growth mindset. And it also talks about praising, how to praise a child. And I want to bring up that how to praise somebody. Now, you may praise me for, oh, you got 10 on 10 in science. Good job. Well done. That is what generally teachers say. I think instead of that, saying, oh, Vidushi, I loved the way you wrote your answers because it told me that you put in an effort in thinking about it. Because that tells me that my teacher loved the way I thought, versus good job, 10 on 10, you are excellent. That tells me that my teacher loves me when I get 10 on 10. And it starts right from the beginning for me. When children know that their outcome is being appreciated, they start hiding the bad things. They start hiding the bad results. When we praise the effort, no matter how little that is, children are empowered to share their mistakes. So praising and also feedback, negative feedback, I think not only as an educator, but also as a parent, as an individual, as anybody who's interacting with another person needs to know that. And the right time to teach how to praise and how to give constructive feedback needs to change in our country as well. Rajul, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidushi, and these were very original and I would say you know thought-provoking. I would say the points you have raised, and we all certainly have enjoyed your ideas, and a lot of points were there which we all I'm sure would be looking forward to implement in our respective areas and schools. And so big thanks, Vidushi, and I'll come back to you with questions. So with this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question answer part. We have received a few questions, so I would request all our speakers, you know, so I'll start presenting question. Anita ma'am, I would request if I can present first question to you.
Yes.
Yeah. So this question has come from Ms. Poonam Mishra. She's a PGT with Bharati Public School. Poonam ji has asked, will NEP be implemented in the next academic year? Will board exam be there for 10th standard from next year?
See, when Vidushi was talking about the outcome of the education and what is the main purpose of education, I was, Vidushi, I really love your deliberations, and it was these 2 years. Uh, so, but since I'm subject expert in mathematics and I love to talk about mathematical thinking. So I would like to, before answering this question, which is asked by the Rajul, I am tempted to say something, and that is that when Dr. Pankaj Sharma was saying that when the students come to us in the university, we plead them to ask questions. They don't ask questions. And basically, in the school also, this is happening, that we are not asking good questions, or if we are asking the questions, we just ask the question with the intention of getting the right answer, the correct answer. And the kind of attitude And the kind of thinking can be promoted only when we start asking the open questions, or when we start promoting the questions. So I just want to share a small interesting anecdote with you. This happened in my school, and I think these kind of incidents, if they are happening in any school, they shall be documented also for sharing with the other teacher. Like one day, I sent one senior teacher to a junior class, to the class 3, as a arrangement period. So there he started talking to them, and the question he posed to the kids was that how many wheels are there in the car. So one child, he said 4, and many of them, they repeated the same answer. He said, think more, think more. He was just wanting to give the opportunity to every child. So one of them came with the answer that there are 5 wheels. So he asked how the 5 wheels are there. He said because there is a stepney which is there in the car. So then he appreciated the answer, and he asked the children to think more. So another one came with the answer that there are 6 wheels. He said, how the 6 wheels are possible? He said, because the steering wheel in the car is also a wheel. So 6 wheels are there. Then he said, and then gradually they shifted to that if you take the truck, it is not that every four-wheeler has the 4 wheels. The truck has the 8 wheels. So 4 are in front and 4 in back, and so on. Then he said that I just posed a question. See, if the wheels are not circular, what will happen? Suppose if the car has the square wheels, then one child, after thinking for some time, he said, I can just tell you one thing for sure, that if there are square wheels, at least I will be getting 4 jugs. So because there are 4 corners of the square. So I just quoted this example that we need to promote this kind of thinking. We use big words, we use the words like critical thinking and the creative thinking, but we don't give chance to the students to speak their mind. And why do we tag the child who is just getting the full marks in the examination as the one who is the brainy one, and we are just promoting them to learn for that? So as Mrs. Savita has also said, that instead of telling them what to think, we need to teach them how to think. So that is very, very important. Now, because the question you asked me right now, the question, I was not expecting this, that whether the board examinations would be there. We are talking about alternative schoolings. We are talking about the various type of education possibilities, and we are saying that NEP is emphasizing on learning and on the self development. So these type of questions, they shall not be redundant. So anyway, but whatever the curriculum framework is going to come, that will give this answer, because this is the answer which is related more to the structure of the policy, that how it is going to be implemented. That's all.
Right. So, in fact, this question was asked to us before the session began. So maybe but again, the questions are questions. That is how. But we have been talking these sessions. So right. So next, I would request Savita ma'am. If I can present to you the question. This is about. This has come from Miss Saroj. Saroji is TGT Hindi with the Mount Columbus School, Delhi. Saroji has asked, what are the changes in elementary and secondary exam pattern? So what changes you perceive, Savita ma'am, after the implementation of NEP?
Elementary education or exam pattern?
They have categorically asked about the exam pattern, but I have just rephrased it. If you can, share some 2-3 key changes.
Assessments only, she must be worried about the assessment at that level. I think there is nothing to speak more about it, because we have already discussed that the assessment system is now, I must say that learning is for learning is for learning only, not for assessment. We have to justify this statement, because if we are making the children do something in the ways we have already discussed in a broader sense, that execution of our chapters, execution of our lessons are in a different way. So during teaching, we are assessing the children. And when we assess a child in this way, holistic development of the child is being categorized. And at elementary level, there is no need to put any kind of pressure of assessment. I have always embraced the board systems, but more embrace the without mark system, grading system, because grade is always good. You can put a group of student into it. And I am, personally speaking, I always feel that you have to create individuals, those who are competing themselves. So one talent you have embraced, and as Vidushi was also telling, everything is going on in our school. We have experienced this thing, no negative remarks at any cost. Even the negative thing you want to say, you have to frame a positive statement for that. So that kind of encouragement, that kind of rewards are the assessment only. So we have to find out 360-degree assessment of children right from elementary level. It is not to be embedded at the age of 14, 15, when they are in 10th, that okay, now we will assess you how smart you are in making projects, how smart you are in thinking, critical thinking, as ma'am has given a wonderful kind of example we would always keep with us, that class class nursery gives us all these kinds of talents. I think if we talk to a pre-nursery class teacher, she would give you a number of experiences where she felt that I have learned a lot. So to whom you are assessing, just see, children are assessing you, how you are teaching. This is topsy-turvy thing, and new NEP is very, very lucrative about it. It is already told to everyone to understand the difference between learning and teaching process, and finding it out. You are learners, rather. If you prove that you are learners, you would forget about the tagline of assessment, and then you will come back to it, that whatever I am teaching, if I am giving them some marks or no marks, only grade, only appreciation, only positive remarks, I am doing the best which I can do for them. And I feel that everything can turn over if teacher understands the meaning of assessment first. There is no obligation from NEP. There is no obligation from any side, CBSE or anything. Till 8th children are in your lab, and you embrace them like anything. Produce beautiful children for board classes, because it's a national level test. So they will be produced by thinking, learning, and getting awareness on their own ways is the best answer. And I don't think that any policy which is good for children to be adopted by the leaders as per their needs, they can do it out. There is nothing special into it. So new NEP rather says that you have to have a competent student, nothing else. So there is no extracurricular, no difference is not there. If you are taking a relay race in the ground and teaching them maths and assessing the children over there, I think we have done it. It's my experience. That's why I'm telling you, because each problem has some steps. If you divide the steps into 4 and put them into 4 areas, you will have to inculcate the integration is also there, because in that you are integrating the leadership quality. The English is also there, Hindi or whatever language is learning is happening, and the child who is in the group will say that don't put me at the end, I don't know the last step. The other one will say, don't worry, we will teach you, you are a good runner, you can reach the line, finish line, so we will teach you. Peer learning is there. So these kinds of things are there. When you think about learning and making them perfect, forget about assessment, because too many things you will put them and assessment comes across. Sorry.
Right, ma'am. Right. In fact, it was just a 1 mark question. You gave us the answer for the 10 marks question.
Oh, good.
Thank you. But thank you, Savita ma'am. And you rightly said that, more such stories come from these, small classes.